Hello, this is Edith Newmeyer, and I'm the author of the book, The Mystery of Adam. And today I'm going to talk about divorce again. I know I've kind of addressed that a little bit in the past, but I thought it would be a good way to address it again after our section on marriage and dating. Now, very important for those people that are interested in getting married and who may date right now, I want you to be very aware that marriage is not a fairy tale and that 60% of the marriages fail. And they fail because, of course, of our sinful nature. And from the beginning, of course, God didn't intend for divorce. From the beginning, there was no reason because the man and the woman were not affected by sin. And so they had this wonderful oneness and wonderful relationship. So there was no need. And Jesus addresses this in Matthew 19. 7, I think it starts a little earlier than 7, but clearly 7 through 9. He addresses that problem. He says that, Moses gave you the permission to divorce your wife because of your sinful nature. He used hardening of heart, which is sinful nature. And so because of that, your sinful nature, that's why Moses allowed you to give your wife a divorce paper and send her away. Okay? So Jesus allowed it, and so did Moses, simply because it was necessary, because of the sinful nature. Now, I know that a lot of churches still believe that divorce is not allowed, or Jesus did not allow divorce unless there's adultery involved. And I have shown in my section when I talked about divorce that that is not the case, and it's based on a false translation. And I want to address this today. And so I'm going to look more at Matthew 5:31 through 32, because that's the first time that Jesus addresses this problem of sending your wife away without a divorce paper. Okay? Because the Jews had a problem, and the problem was Moses said, you divorce your wife. In other words, if you send away your wife, you have to give her a divorce paper. If you don't do it, then she could be accused of committing adultery if she gets married again. And so the mistranslation, every time this word, and okay, let me first tell you what kind of Bible I'm using. I'm using, it's called the Hebrew Creek Key Study Bible. It's an American Standard Bible, and the commentaries and some of the translation were made by a person called Spiros Sothiatis. Okay, Sothiatis. And I did quote him in my book as well. So if you want to buy my book, you will find this reference to my study Bible that I used. And this guy, of course, Spiros Sothiatis is Greek, right? So he's a Greek scholar. Actually, he's a Hebrew Greek, but native Greek. So he looked at that word, original word, which is apolelumenen. apolelumenen. Now I know I'm not that good in Greek myself. Apolelumenen is the original word. And he says that that word means sending a wife away without giving her a divorce decree. Okay? And that word was constantly translated as divorce. Okay? Official divorce. All right? But that was not the original intent. The original intent should read, send her away. When you send your wife away without a divorce paper and she gets married again, she has no backup that she is legally divorced. And Jesus said in Matthew 19, even the man that sent her away without a divorce paper and gets married again commits adultery, because that person also cannot prove that he legally sent his wife away. So legally he still is married. And this mistranslation caused this misinterpretation that Jesus supposedly said you can only divorce for the reason of adultery. But what he really said in Matthew 19 is you can only send your wife away without a certificate of divorce in case of adultery. Because when she commits adultery or he commits adultery, it doesn't matter, the marriage is already broken and she has or he has committed a sin, which is in the Old Testament a reason to stone the person. Okay, so that's why he said that. So now let's look at Matthew 5:31 and 32, how that is actually written. And it says, let's see, I need to go back to 5 because I'm reading here in, I need to go back to 5. Here, 31. So Matthew 5:31. And it was said, whosoever, and that's Jesus speaking, whosoever sends his wife away, let him give her a certificate of divorce. Okay, so here exactly that was actually exactly used. Okay, the correct translation was used. Again, it was said, whosoever, and what is the original word is apolelumenen, is the original word. So send his wife away. Okay, let him give her a certificate of divorce. So when you send your wife away, give her a certificate of divorce. Then it is legal. And the wife has the legal right to get married again. Also, the husband has the legal, who sends her away, has the legal right to get married again because the divorce was official. But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife, again, here they're translating the same word as divorce. Okay? But that is not correct. He says, but I say to you that whosoever sends her away or sends his wife away, except for the cause of unchastity or adultery, makes her commit adultery. Okay? And whosoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Divorced, again, the same word, apolelumenen, which is sent her away. So whosoever marries a sent away woman, okay, one that does not have a divorce paper, commits adultery, because legally the woman is still married. Okay, so right there, Jesus says, no, I'm against sending the wife away. Okay, you send your wife away, you give her a divorce paper, Because when you give her a divorce paper, you are free. She is free. And you are free to get married. If you don't, you both commit adultery. That's exactly what he's saying. Okay, let's read this again. At 31, and it was said, whosoever sends his wife away, correct translation, let him give her a certificate of divorce. Okay? But I say to you that everyone who, and I'm going to use the correct translation, sends his wife away except for cause of chastity makes her commit adultery. In other words, chastity, that means she committed already adultery. Okay? So when you send her away and you don't give her a divorce paper, you're saying, hey, she committed adultery. And you make her commit adultery because she gets married again and she doesn't have a divorce decree. And whosoever marries a sent away woman, send away, no divorce paper, commits adultery. So 2 times the same word was translated as divorce, and 1 time in 31 it was actually correctly translated as sent her away. Now when we go to Matthew 19, the same problem happened. Very, 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 very same problem. Every time, okay, every time they translate it as divorce, when really sending away is not an official divorce. Okay, let's see, where does it say that? So they said in 7, that's Matthew 19:7, they said to him, why then did Moses command to give her a certificate of divorce, okay, and send her away? All right, is that a certificate of divorce? I mean, give her a certificate of divorce and send her away, okay? So here the woman was given a certificate of divorce. That's because that's what Moses said. And then you can send her away. He said to them, because of your hardness of heart, Moses permitted you to divorce your wife. But from the beginning, it has not been this way. And again, that word is again send her away. He didn't really use divorce, but send her away. And I say to you, whosoever divorces his wife, except for immorality, again, the same word, they translated divorce when it's supposed to be send her away. So I say to you, whosoever sent her away, and if I look at the commentary on 9, it says send her away. Okay? His wife, except for immorality, and marries another woman, commits adultery. Okay? It's same thing, very same thing as he said previously. However, unfortunately, it is still translated incorrectly. And more even, adding to this incorrect translation is the fact that we have traditionally believed this lie for such a long time that we think it is biblical. And of course, we go to these verses and they just totally support this false assumption because we don't know any better. Okay? And so we say to our members, hey, you cannot divorce at all. Even if there is abuse going on, you still cannot divorce. You still cannot get a divorce. Okay? Which is wrong. Which is very, very wrong. Moses allowed to give divorce, a divorce paper and send the person away. Now, that was done mostly with women. Okay, women didn't get, most of the time, didn't get a divorce unless they were really rich, but most of the time, women were treated as property under the Jewish culture. Okay, and so it's very seldom that women went and had a divorce. They depended on that income of the husband. They depended on being supported by the husband, because we already said that women could not support themselves. They couldn't have a profession outside the home. It was just not accepted. And so they depended on either the parents, taking her in again, or some other people that would support her, or getting married again. Okay, that would be one, option as well. But that was most of the time really not done. I mean, more women were sent away or were divorced by their husband than women that actually divorced the husbands. So, however, this false translation, then see, this law was um, used during Jesus' time. So the Jews knew exactly that they had this option. There was no um, discussion over whether you could actually give your wife a divorce paper and send her away. Even Jesus here said, yep, you can do that. According to the law of Moses, you can do that. But when you send her away, you better give her a divorce paper. So she is free and you are free. Okay? So, but that many times was not done, because there was one court of law where you can just send your wife away for just any reason and not have to give her divorce paper. And Jesus was really much, and that was in Matthew 19, where that came out very clearly. Where Jesus says clearly, no. Moses said to give her a divorce decree or a divorce paper unless she committed adultery. Okay, unless she committed adultery. Again, but because of the false translations, women, especially women, okay, it wasn't very much the men, but the women were kept in bondage, and I really call it bondage. Okay, I call it a bondage that really the Roman Catholic Church created. I don't know if whoever translated that section in Matthew, and I have not read Luther's original translation. If what he said would be interesting to read Luther's translation, which I may just gonna do, because I speak German, and so I read my German Bible quite a lot. So it would be interesting to see how he translated it. But again, the King James translated it false. Okay, so it looks to me like somebody had an interest in fooling people, or in really keeping women in bondage and not giving them an option out of a marriage that was abusive, or a marriage where the husband would not provide for the wife um, like he is supposed to. Okay, or a husband even who committed adultery. Okay, because then the church would say, well, you have to forgive your husband. You're not supposed to get a divorce. So these Bible verses were so manipulated and are still being manipulated today. I got a divorce, I don't know, maybe 14 years ago, 15 years ago. And it was very difficult for me. It was very difficult for me because I was used to hearing that. I was used to hearing that from the Catholic Church because I was raised Catholic. And so I heard that constantly. No, you can't divorce you cannot get a divorce. That is against God. He frowns upon that. Um, and then I heard it also from evangelical churches. No, you can't divorce unless your husband committed adultery, and that is just such a lie, such a lie. And it is just very hard for me to understand how Bible scholars can continue to spread this lie. Okay, and again, it is mainly the women who are affected by it. And it is just unbelievable. It is just very, very sad, very, very sad that women have been kept in abusive marriages, where the woman should have said a long time ago, wait a minute, hey, I'm not playing this game anymore. Okay? Now, again, I just don't know why it happened, but it did. You know, the same thing I looked at, Genesis. And there are so many false words that were mistranslated. I mean, you know it. You can go from the rib, you can go from Adam, who was turned into the man, you can go to helper, who was turned into an assistant. I mean, you just go on and on and on. All the key words, all the key words that kept women in bondage were mistranslated. And really, I think that is a little bitty odd. Um, and I would like to know, why did that happen? Why did Bible scholars um, not wake up and say, wait a minute, there is something wrong? Why are we continuing? Why are we continuing to spread these lies? It is just really beyond me. Okay? Very beyond me. And same thing with sex outside marriage. I don't believe in sex outside marriage. I don't necessarily, well, let's put it that way. I don't believe it is a wise decision to have sex before marriage. Okay? Um, and But it is not a sin. Okay? It's just not wise. Okay? For various reasons. Various reasons. Which I discussed last time. However, what have we been told? Oh, well, it's a sin. Okay? It's a sin. Yeah, we're scaring everybody else. Yeah, it's a sin. No, why don't you just tell girls the right thing? Okay? Tell them that their sexuality is extremely precious and they should not just waste it on just anybody. Okay? Why don't you just tell women, hey, guess what? There's a lot of men out there that are just in for the sex. Okay? Don't allow that to happen because you have something very special to keep for that special man that will care about you. Okay? Why don't we just say that? Instead of scaring people, making them feel guilty. And that's what I don't like. I just don't like that. All right. Well, this is what Jesus taught, about divorce. And I think everybody needs to know that before you get married, you have to discuss what are we going to do if we would if we would divorce. Maybe that will open the eyes of many people and say, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't even get married. If that's an option, why would we get married? Because it is an option. In 50% or 60% of the cases, that is exactly the option, okay, that you will have to consider. So, anyways, I think it's important. Discuss that before you get married. How are we going to end our marriage if it is not retrievable anymore, if you cannot salvage it anymore? Okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to go to counseling to resolve our issues? Because that's an important one. Are both of them willing to actually work on your marriage? And sometimes you cannot work on your marriage alone. Okay, you need help. And if that person is not willing to go to counseling, at least Christian counseling or even pastoral counseling, if you're not willing to do that, don't start a marriage because marriage is way too difficult. You cannot do it on your own many, many times. Okay? So then divorce happens. So one more thing before I close, and what I want you to think about. If God is so much against, and God is, he does not like divorce. But if he is so much against divorce that he does not allow it, why did he divorce Israel? Why did he himself divorce Israel? Of course, Israel committed adultery. So guess what? He even had the right to send her away without a divorce decree. Think about that. And he did. He sent away Israel. Um, and that you can find that in Jeremiah, and I don't remember exactly where it is, where Jeremiah addresses that. But Jeremiah addresses where, you know, gives a divorce paper. God gives her a divorce paper even, and sent her away. And he even sold her kids into slavery, which he did with Israel. He sent them away to slavery. They were all led into captivity. So if God is so horribly against divorce that he does not totally allow it, why did he do it himself? Because he knew that people are sinful. Okay? And a contract is a contract. And if you do not fulfill your contract, it is over, null and void. All right, I will finish up today and I will talk more later.